What's going on, everybody? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I want to talk some more about Pokemon, specifically Pokemon Sword and Shield, because, well, it's been getting a lot of attention recently with, say, positives and negatives, upcoming stuff that looks really cool, as well as the unfortunate news of removal of existing features and stuff that everyone is kind of hoping for and whatnot. But in my previous video where I talked about that, on the fly I actually just thought of something completely brand new and different that I wanted to break down and talk in more detail about in its own specific video. Now that topic is specifically in relation to the fact that the new Pokemon Sword and Shield are only going to have new Pokemon as well as a very small select amount of previously existing Pokemon from previous gens. So there might only be 20, 30, 40, whatever it is, old Pokemon, instead of the several hundred, almost 1,000 existing Pokemon before the Galar region. And naturally, most people are upset that these won't be included, myself included with them, that isn't very happy about it, because I would like to be able to have a quality Pokemon game that I really enjoy, and bring everything into it, and have a nice, complete, gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon Master level Pokedex. But the other night when I was talking about whatever it was in that video and I just kind of came up with it on the fly completely out of nowhere, since Game Freak said that they're not ruling out the possibility of potentially adding more Pokemon in later down the line in post-game content updates, I had a bit of a crazy idea. And that idea links all the way back to before Sword and Shield were even announced, and I made a what I would like to see in next generation Pokemon video. And if you're a long-time viewer, long-time listener, long-time whatever it is, when it comes to pretty much anything I talk about with Pokemon, you know what my probably number one thing, my number one ask, my number one request, my number one hope, my number one dream, whatever it is, for any new upcoming Pokemon game is usually always the same thing. And it's not just the ability to catch new and existing Pokemon in the same place, in the same world, in the same region. What I want, what I always hope they really include, which as far as I remember and as far as I know, has only been included in one proper previous generation of Pokemon games, was back in Gen 2, after you finished the brand new area, the brand new game essentially, you could go back to a previous generation's region and catch all of their existing Pokemon. So I had hoped in Sword and Shield that you would be able to go back to all 7 prior generations, all 7 prior regions, and catch every single Pokemon in every single Pokedex entry in all those regions. And there's specific ones, challenge their trainers, maybe have a small little story, challenge their gym leaders, hit the Elite Four, be the Pokemon champion of every region. But unfortunately, I know this is not going to be the case. But it made me think of one other possibility down the line. Now that possibility isn't the best way of doing all this because it's kind of a dirty word. That word, or specifically that acronym, is DLC. Downloadable content. So my point, what I'm getting at here is what if every couple of months, I don't know, maybe every 6 months, if not more, if not less, who knows, Game Freak released a new additional DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield. And it was the generation-based DLC. Let's say the first DLC is, we'll just call it Gen 1 DLC. Or they could call it Kanto DLC. And with that paid DLC, you could travel to the Kanto region. You could catch every single Pokemon that they'd have in there. You could have a little bit of the story. Or a new custom story for it. You could hit all the 8 gym leaders, you could hit the Elite Four, and then you could even go on and become the Pokemon champion. And then they would offer a different version of that for each generation. Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7. So you would essentially have all 8 games in one. Now, there would be one or two little caveats I'd like to see. And one, if they were ever to do this, there's one or two little stipulations I'd put in on there. Step 1, priority number 1. Actually, they're just all top priority at this point. Let's go because I can't really rank them in different orders. Some big important things that could happen, that have to happen if they were ever to do this. No splitting games. We all know that every generation there's always 2 games. Let's say there's 150 Pokemon in them. You can catch 130 of them in one of them and you can catch 130 of them in the other. And of course, there's a different bit of a crossover there. 20 of them them are exclusive to one version and 20 of them are exclusive to the other. So you are required to trade. Now, they could do it multiple ways with Sword and Shield. For example, maybe if anyone who buys Sword and gets the Gen 1 DLC, they would get Pokemon Red, and then for Gen 2 they would get Gold, and Gen 3 they would get Sapphire. You see what I mean? But I would like to completely do away with all of those shenanigans. What I would like to see, if they ever did that, would be the ability to catch every single one of the Pokemon, including the ones of the other version of the game, if you will, in all just one base version of the game. And the second super important stipulation that you'd have to put in as well is that every single, I won't call it entry into Pokedex because that implies some older ones as well. Every single new Pokemon, legendary, mythical, regional, whatever, they have to be available in game. So you don't need to worry about getting codes or Jirachi or whatever it is from wherever you originally got it, or a different super weird way to get it. No. They should just have all the entries in the Pokedex for that generation, or at least all the new ones, no matter what it is, legendary, mythical, all that, available and catchable in that specific game and DLC. And this could kind of help going forward in a sense as well. One of the reasons they decided not bringing all the Pokemon forward would be having to recreate everything for the current game. All the animations and character models and whatnot. However, if they were to maybe take 6 months at a time and then release a batch of Pokemon here or there, in which case I mean one generation at a time, that would eventually have them all ported, Switch ready for Gen 9 when that comes out on Switch in a few years. And because they're doing it one generation at a time, it wouldn't need to be too much work essentially. But I don't know, there's a lot of kinks that need to be worked out, there's a lot of whatever it is that needs to happen. But let me know in the comment section below where you would stand on this situation, on generation-based DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield, to bring in every single prior Pokemon into Sword and Shield. Every single prior generation, every single prior area, every single everything into what would be the current and hopefully great Gen 8. Let me know all that good stuff in the comment section below. Hit the appropriate button to let me know how I did on the video, and while you're at it, why not head on over and hit the subscribe button and even ring the little notification bell. Granted, getting a notification from YouTube in current year about a new video upload or a live stream or whatever is a whole other story. But hey, at least you can say you tried, am I right? As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.